Hello, and welcome to Rest with Jess. Tonight, there is nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to finish, nothing you need to figure out. For the next little while, you can simply rest. So find a comfortable position, let your head settle into your pillow, allow your shoulders to soften, unclench your jaw, and take a slow, gentle breath in and breathe out. Again, breathe in and slowly breathe out. Let the day begin to drift away from you. Whatever happened today, whatever needs to happen tomorrow, it can all wait because tonight we're going somewhere quiet. So close your eyes, get comfortable, and listen. Our story begins on a rainy evening at a train station that almost everyone had forgotten. The rain had been falling since early afternoon, not the angry kind of rain that arrived with thunder and wind, but a soft, steady rain, the kind that blurred the edges of buildings, turned streetlights into glowing golden circles, and made the entire city feel quieter than usual. By 11 o'clock that night, the streets were nearly empty. Shop windows had gone dark. Restaurants had been turned upside down on tables. And behind apartment windows, people were settling beneath blankets and turning out their lights. But one person was still walking. Her name was Clara. She held a small umbrella above her head as she made her way along the wet sidewalk. She wasn't entirely sure where she was going. She only knew that she wasn't ready to go home. It had been a long day. Actually, if she were honest with herself, it had been a long few months. There had always been something to do, someone to answer, somewhere to be, a list waiting to be completed, a problem waiting to be solved. And even on the rare evenings when there was nothing urgent, Clara's mind continued moving, thinking, planning, remembering, wandering. She was tired. Not the kind of tired that disappeared after one's good night's sleep. It was a deeper tired, the kind that made you wish your whole world would pause, just for a little while. Clara turned down a narrow street she had walked hundreds of times before, but tonight something was different. Between an old bakery and a closed flower shop, there was a small passageway. Clara stopped. She was certain she had never seen it before. At the end of the passageway, a single golden light glowed. She hesitated. Then curiosity pulled her forward. Her shoes clicked softly against the wet stones as she walked. At the end of the passage, she found a staircase, and at the bottom of the staircase was a train station. Clara stared. A small wooden sign hung above the entrance. The gold lettering had faded over time. It read, Midnight Station. Clara looked behind her. The city was still there. The rain was still falling. And yet, somehow, she could no longer hear the traffic, only the rain. And somewhere in the distance, the soft whistle of a train. Clara walked down the stairs. The station was unlike any she had ever seen. There were no crowds, no bright advertisements, no hurried announcements echoing through speakers. There was only a long wooden platform, a row of old-fashioned lamps, and a small ticket window. Behind the glass sat an elderly man wearing a navy blue cap. He looked up as Clara approached. "Good evening," he said. His voice was warm. "Good evening," Clara replied. She looked around. "I didn't know there was a station here." The man smiled. "Most people don't." Clara glanced at the empty platform. "Where do the trains go?" The man leaned back in his chair. "That depends." "On what?" "On where you need to go." Clara laughed softly. "I'm not sure where I need to go." The man's smile grew. "Then you're exactly in the right place." He reached beneath the counter and placed a small cream-colored ticket in front of her. Clara picked it up. There was no destination printed on it. Only 4 words. Somewhere quiet. Clara looked up. "Is that a real place?" The man nodded. "For tonight, it is." From somewhere beyond the station, a train whistle sounded. Low, soft, almost sleepy. The man pointed toward the platform. "That's yours." Clara looked down at the ticket again. "How much does it cost?" "Nothing." "Nothing?" The man shook his head. "Rest shouldn't cost you anything." For some reason, those words made Clara's eyes sting. She blinked quickly and smiled. "Thank you." The man tipped his hat. "Enjoy your journey." Clara stepped onto the platform. Through the rain, a train slowly appeared. It was dark blue, with thin gold lines running along each carriage. Warm yellow light glowed from the windows. The train came to a gentle stop. A door opened. A conductor stepped onto the platform. He wore a dark uniform and held a small lantern. "Ticket, please." Clara handed him the cream-colored ticket. He looked at it, then smiled. "Ah," he handed it back. "Car 7." Clara stepped onto the train. The moment she entered, she felt warm. Not just warm from the heat, warm in the way you feel when you step inside after being out in the cold and someone has been expecting you. The hallway was lined with soft carpet. Small brass lamps glowed along the walls. Clara walked slowly past the compartments. Inside one, someone was reading beside a fireplace. Inside another, a woman slept beneath a thick white blanket. And in another, an older couple sat quietly together, drinking tea and watching the rain. No one was talking loudly. No phones were ringing. No one seemed to be in a hurry. Clara reached car 7. Her compartment was at the very end. She opened the door. Inside was a small room. There was a wide seat beside the window, covered in deep cushions. A folded blanket rested nearby. A tiny lamp glowed on the wooden table, and beside it, a steaming cup of tea. Clara smiled. She hadn't ordered tea, but somehow it was exactly the kind she liked. She removed her coat, set her umbrella near the door, and sank into the seat. Outside, rain slid slowly down the window. The train began to move. At first, Clara could still see the city. Buildings passed by, street lights, empty roads, rows of apartment windows. Then, slowly, the buildings disappeared. The city lights faded behind them, and the train entered the countryside. Clara wrapped the blanket around herself. She lifted the warm cup between her hands, and for the first time that day, she did absolutely nothing. She simply watched. Fields passed beneath the moonlight. Small houses appeared in the distance, their windows glowing softly. Occasionally, the train crossed a bridge. Below, rivers reflected the silver sky. The gentle rhythm of the wheels filled the compartment. Click, clack, click, clack. Clara leaned her head against the cushion. Her eyes grew heavy. But just as she began to drift, there was a soft knock at the door. She opened her eyes. "Come in." The conductor entered. "Everything comfortable?" Clara nodded. "Very." He smiled. "Good." She looked out the window. "How long until we arrive?" The conductor tilted his head. "Arrive?" "At somewhere quiet." He smiled. "Oh." Then he looked toward the window. "You've already arrived." Clara frowned. "But we're still moving." "Of course." He stepped toward the door. "Sometimes quiet isn't a place you arrive at." He paused. "Sometimes it's simply what happens when you finally stop trying to get somewhere." And with that, he left. Clara sat quietly. She looked at her tea, at the rain, at the dark countryside rolling past her window, and slowly she understood. There was nowhere she needed to be tonight. No destination, no schedule, no list. The train would keep moving. The rain would keep falling. And Clara could simply rest. She pulled the blanket closer. The compartment felt warmer now. The light seemed softer. Outside, the rain continued at a gentle rhythm against the glass. Clara closed her eyes, and for a while she slept. She dreamed of wide green fields, of quiet mornings, of cups of tea left to cool beside open windows, of books read slowly, of long walks with nowhere to go, and of days that didn't need to be filled with anything at all. When Clara opened her eyes again, the rain had stopped. The train was slowing. Outside, the sky was beginning to brighten. Soft shades of blue and pale gold stretched across the horizon. The conductor knocked once more. "We'll be arriving soon." Clara sat up. "Back at Midnight Station?" He nodded. Clara looked around the compartment. Part of her didn't want to leave. The conductor seemed to understand. "You can always come back." "How?" He smiled. "Most people find a station when they need it." Clara looked down. The cream-colored ticket was still in her hand. Somewhere quiet. She slipped it into her coat pocket. The train came to a stop. Clara stepped onto the platform. The elderly man was sitting, still, behind the ticket window. He waved. "Good journey?" Clara smiled. "Very." She climbed the stairs, walked through the narrow passage, and returned to the city. Morning was beginning. The bakery lights flickered on. A delivery truck passed. Somewhere, a coffee shop was opening its doors. Everything looked exactly the same, and yet Clara felt different. She walked home slowly, and when she finally climbed into bed, she didn't think about tomorrow. She didn't make a list. She didn't check the time. She simply pulled the blankets around herself, closed her eyes, and remembered the train, the warm compartment, the rain against the window, the gentle movement beneath her. Click, clack, click, clack. Somewhere, for beneath the sleeping city, the midnight train continued along its tracks, carrying tired travelers past quiet fields under moonlit skies toward a place that wasn't really a place at all, somewhere quiet. And now our story has come to an end, but you don't need to go anywhere just yet. You can stay here, warm beneath your blankets. Let your body become heavy. Let your breathing become slow. There is nothing else you need to do tonight. Nothing you need to solve. Nothing you need to prepare. Tomorrow can wait until tomorrow. For now, imagine that you're still on the train. The rain is falling softly against the window. The lights are low. A warm blanket is wrapped around you. And outside, the whole world is quiet. The train moves gently beneath you. Click, clack, click, clack, carrying you farther away from the noise of the day. Your eyes are heavy. Your body is resting. And you are safe. You are warm. You are exactly where you need to be. So take one more slow breath in and slowly breathe out. Let yourself drift. Let yourself rest. And whenever you're ready, let sleep find you. Good night and sweet dreams.